Hi class, my name is Kayla and today I'm doing my informative speech on stress. Stress is a very common word used throughout our day-to-day vocabulary. Although everyone seems like they know the definition of it, it's very hard to find. If you go on the computer and Google the definition for stress, you get so many definitions because stress is actually a hard word for people to define since there's so many symptoms to it. The best definition I found out of all of them is a condition or feeling experienced when a person perceives that demands exceed the personal or social resources the individual is able to mobilize. So basically, a breakdown of what that definition means is that you feel that you cannot meet the demands you have because you don't have the proper resources to do it. Things like you feel that you can't study because you're not smart enough. That's things that would trigger stress. There are many symptoms to stress, things like cognitive symptoms, which those are the ones in your head. They would be memory problems, inability to concentrate, poor judgment, seeing only the negative instead of the positive, anxious or racing thoughts, constant worrying. There's also emotional symptoms, which would be moodiness, irritability or short temper, agitation, having trouble relaxing, feeling overwhelmed, sense of loneliness and isolation, depression, or general unhappiness. There's physical symptoms as well, aches and pains, diarrhea or constipation, nausea or dizziness, chest pain or rapid heartbeat, loss of sex drive, or frequent colds. There's also behavioral symptoms, eating more or less, sleeping too much or too little, isolating yourself from others, procrastinating or neglecting responsibilities, using alcohol, cigarettes, or drugs to relax, and nervous habits like nail biting or pacing. I know that seems like a lot of symptoms, and I'm sure each and every one of you have experienced at least one of these, but stress is actually a very common thing in our society today. In some research, after researching for a while on stress, I found that 66% of all doctor's visits are for stress-related symptoms such as headache, neck pain, irritable bowel syndrome, or fatigue. And over half of the adults report moderate to high stress levels. So that's 5 or more out of 10 people that feel they are high or moderately stressed. That's a lot of people. So if there's 20 people in your class, at least 10 of them feel like they're stressed. Stress is a very common thing, mostly because us as school students have so much going on in our lives. From going to school, getting your studying done, getting your homework done, and trying to work on top of all that, that's a huge stressor. Some other stressors would be major life changes, like let's say you got pregnant and you had a baby. That would be a big stressor because that's a huge life change. Another stressor would be work. Work in general can be very, very stressful, and that's one of the top stressors on the list because you have to go deal with a bunch of people all day, and it's very stressful. Financial problems is definitely a stressor. Relationship difficulties, and just being too busy in general. When you have so much things going on, it just stresses you out in general. The common internal causes of stress are a lack of assertiveness, like meaning you can't assert yourself to something, you can't put your mind to it, you can't get it done. Perfectionism, that's definitely a stressor. If you try and make everything perfect, of course you're going to get stressed because nothing's perfect. There's also an inability to accept uncertainty. I know I have a hard time with that. That's like you don't know what's going to come up and it makes you nervous. You can't accept that you don't know what's going to happen and it bothers you and stresses you out. There's negative self-talk, basically telling yourself you can't do it. That's a huge stressor in an everyday life. And there's unrealistic expectations. How to check if you're stressed is basically knowing what the symptoms are. Like I said, things like vomiting, nosebleed, memory loss, weakened immunity, excessive sweating. But there's many ways that you could go in and research the ways to help cope with your stress. I know stress is really common. I actually have a visual aid here. This is how stress affects the body. As you see, it says headaches, dizziness, ADD, ADHD, anxiety, irritability and anger, panic disorders. That's some symptoms. Grinding teeth and tension in the jaw. As you can see, the mouth is one of them. Increased heart rate, strokes, heart disease, hypertension, diabetes, type 1 and type 2. and arrhythmias. Arrhythmia means fast-paced heartbeat. Digestive disorders, upset stomach, abdominal pain, irritable bowel syndrome, weight gain and obesity, decreased sex drive. It goes on and on with the list of symptoms that there is. There's so much stress in everyone's life, but if you can get it under control, you'll be perfectly fine. You yourself will know when you have too much stress and if you have to get it on a hold. So basically, you're your own judge of how much stress you have. You're your own judge of how much stress you're going to have every single day. If you try and take things step by step, it'll be so much easier and you'll be so much less stressed. Thank you.